Welcome! This is the Rustic Songbird podcast, and I'm your host, Lydia Walker. This show is for you if you're ready to learn more about the craft of songwriting and take your skills to the next level. Thanks so much for listening. Let's get started. Today's interview was originally going to be a video training, so I wanted to give you a warning in case we do say something about the people watching, but I thought it was so full of great information and I wanted to share it with you today. I hope you enjoy my interview with my good friend Julie Keltonic. You can find more about her music at the link in the show notes or at juliekeltonic.com. Hey everybody, today I'm talking to Julie Keltonic, who is a great friend of mine and a co-writer. We have written songs together and I love her writing style. She especially comes up with amazing melodies for songs, and so I'm excited today to pick your brain, Julie, and to ask you some questions about your process, about what you're thinking when you're writing a song. And I have some questions to go through, but I'm excited to share some of this knowledge with people today. So I appreciate your time, first of all. Thanks for making this work and being willing to do this interview.
I love spending time with you, so this is a great addition to my day. Thank you so much for having me.
It's mostly just hanging out with a friend. I feel like this is just such a pleasure, just such a treat for me. And so thanks for making the time for that today. The ones watching today are songwriters or people interested in writing songs, maybe just getting started or wanting to increase their knowledge and experience with songwriting, get better at the technique. So I think this is going to be really insightful for anyone, despite whatever part of the process you are in. You can learn something from this. So as we get started, I just want to encourage everyone watching, even if you hear some things that you know already or it's kind of a review, maybe ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And I hope that you do get something new out of our conversation today. So if you want to find out more about Julie's music, I definitely want to give you her website. It's juliekeltonic.com. And Julie, I was stalking your website a little earlier and I read your bio section and I literally laughed out loud when I read the end of it that says you like to have a little counseling session when you do a co-write and then write a song about it to praise God. And I think that is so funny. I laughed because it's true. Every time I've written with Julie, I feel like it becomes a Bible study. It becomes a counseling session. It's just where you pour out your heart to each other and like share about what's going on in your life and then write a great song about it. And so that is what we are going to talk about today, is just the process and hopefully helping others who are listening. So is there anything that you'd like to share real quick about yourself before we jump in?
Sure. I grew up right outside the Washington, D.C. area in Bethesda, Maryland. I moved here to Nashville about 10 years ago. It's been about 10 years.
That's amazing.
I know.
10 years.
And it's just amazing to see my story. And that's one thing that I will probably weave throughout our discussion, is that everyone has their own stories.
Definitely.
And it's easy to look to the right and left and think that the person next to you's story should be your story. But really, the Lord has really written unique stories for each of our lives. And so my story has just been one of, like, I thought that I could have only one thing. Like, for instance, I thought when I met my husband, David, that I was going to have to choose between David and Nashville, and they were both dreams of mine. But God, in his providence, gave me both. And then when I had kids, I have a 5-year-old Connor and a 2-year-old Ethan, little boys, and they keep me very busy. But I thought that I was going to have to choose at that point also between being a songwriter and being a mom. And God has given me both. And each time it's looked different, but it's just really great to see how when the Lord puts a calling on your life, that even though your circumstances might change and you might have to like take a little hiatus or take a little break, or it might look different, like you might be Skype writing during nap time rather than writing twice a day on Music Row.
I believe I have a lot more of that in my future as well with my little baby.
But he doesn't take your calling away. And,
exactly.
And he, when he adds more to your plate, he like somehow exponentially adds more to your ability to like get everything done. So
that's awesome. And you are such an inspiration to me. So I love seeing you being a great mom and being a songwriter as well, and just never giving up on your dreams. You've been writing songs for a long time, and you've done music with a lot of different people, co-written with a lot of people, and have so much experience. And one thing we have talked about before is how a lot of writers will lean either to writing lyrics, or they're like stronger at writing lyrics or stronger at making up melodies and writing the music. And I've heard you say that you are like pretty strong on the music side and the making up melodies and things like that. So I really want to dig into like what goes through your head and your thought process when you're coming up with a melody for a song. What does that look like for you?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the first thing that comes to mind is that notion of having it be one or the other. Some people have both, and I thought that I had both. But I think the way you can tell is which one you are is whether a blank sheet of paper makes you nervous or a recorder in your hand makes you nervous. For me, I would have said I was both. I was a communications major, so writing is like part of my life. But the recorder in my hand, I am not nervous at all. The blank sheet of paper, it's like, oh, where do I start? Am I going to mess it up? You know? So that's one way for the listeners just to sort of be able to pinpoint which one they might be, which way they might lean.
I think that's really helpful because I think I'm stronger with lyrics, with words. Words have always really stood out to me. And then I think once I have words, it's easier to put music to them for me. And so I have noticed that in our co-writes, I come with a notebook, you come with your voice memos on your phone. So that totally makes sense.
Together. And I want to interject, if anyone is looking for a co-writer, to find someone who brings something different to the table than you do. You might not write very well with your best friend, but it's going to be a better use of both of your times if you're a lyric person to find a melody person and vice versa. As far as melodies for me, my very best times of writing are in the car. I don't know what it is. And I've even gone out to sit in a stopped car in the driveway to try to come up with melody ideas. And I actually think it only works when I'm actually driving. I think when my mind is sort of preoccupied with something else, for some reason, my creative side turns on and I can just sing something new. Yeah. So I have like 300 voice memos in my phone that I keep. I wanted just to show it. I can show the app. I think it's great. And there are many of them, but okay. It's just called voice memos. I don't know if you can see that. It's right there.
So you've got it right on your home screen. You can go to it anytime. Just press record and you just sing whatever comes to your head.
Yeah, your idea might leave if you have to like find it. So I just tap the button, bam, voice memos, and it comes up like this. And you just push record. 410. I have 410.
Wow, that's amazing.
Recordings. And so here's another God moment. I live right outside of Nashville, but it's like a half an hour, 45-minute drive sometimes if I'm going to people's houses, or if I'm going to Music Row, it's like half an hour. And at first, when we first moved out to Mount Juliet, and we love it here, but when we first moved out, I was like, oh, it's going to be half an hour each way. Like, God, what are you doing? Don't you want me 5 minutes from the writer's room? And actually, it's been the biggest blessing, because when I show up to my co-writes on Music Row, I come with like 10 new ideas because of the half an hour that I had in the car on the way to sing. And what I'll do on the way to a co-write, I will look at billboards and sing the words, or I will and then it kind of starts to get a little do 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 or whatever it is, and then you just sing and you keep singing, and then you stop your at a light. You stop your voice.
Right. Drive safe.
I know, drive safe. You stop your voice memos, then you kind of just like let your mind. It's like a mix between repetition, but you don't want it to get old. So you maybe will repeat something a couple times and then go somewhere new and then go back to that so that it can be familiar still.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
yeah,
you really get your inspiration from everywhere, even a billboard or a sign as you're passing or just something you're thinking about. You just start humming or
for
making
me,
up a
if
little
I
melody.
if I have to make the melody fit the lyrics, it's a little bit harder than if I can do the melody and then like come up with something really catchy. And if it doesn't fit the lyrics that my co-writer had, then maybe we'll use it for the bridge or the chorus or some other part
Sure.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's really great just to draw inspiration from wherever. And when you get the idea, either I say write it down because that helps me to write it down in a notebook, or like you said, record it on your voice memos. So if it's a musical idea like a melody with or without a lyric, you can still hum, or like you said, do 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 do, just to get it down so you don't forget it, because it might not come back to you, or it might not come back in the same way.
Yeah. The other place that I come up with melodies is falling asleep. And at that point, the house is so quiet, and I'm like, I don't want to wake anyone. I've totally gone in the closet though to like
And
do
you're
my
just like
push-ups.
whispering in your phone.
But the other way, and I actually started this when I was really little. I don't know. I didn't find out till later that I think it sort of relates to the Nashville number system. But when I have a melody idea, I'll even on my phone, I'll write the words into a note, like a note memo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll put above the word like the numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. And I'll like write the numbers out, and then at least it gives my mind a chance in the morning to like remember it.
Yeah, so you're writing down the number of the notes
Numbers.
in the
Right, the number
melody.
of the notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so you record your ideas on your phone, and then you can go back and play those either when you're in a co-write, or like you said, when you have more time to write. If it's in the middle of the night, like check it out again in the morning and you don't totally forget your idea. The next question I had for you was, what do you think helps you write a great hook, whether that's a melodic hook or a lyric hook or both? What's that process look like for you?
Okay. As far as the lyric hook, I always think about, would this title or this word be something that could be on the front of an album? So like, and it's actually really been a successful way of thinking. Because for me, I am a singer, but I've mostly written for other people's projects and to pitch for artists. And so like, examples of that, Resonate is one of the album covers that like title tracks. That's like a strong, short, one word that people have heard of but don't say every day. Like these are like the things that are going through my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's heard of Resonate. So that title that I came up with became a song and was a strong enough like imprint that it became the album cover title.
Awesome.
Another one, let me think. Detour, I wrote with Rachel Barentine, just about how God takes us on detours, but it's all his plan.
Very
And
cool.
so that's like a short one word. Everybody's heard of detour. We know what they are, but it's not overused like Amazing Grace. Like,
Right.
you know, everybody has a
You try
song.
to think of something new that's still fairly familiar.
Yeah, and that's short and that's kind of a little edgy. These are like things that are like subconscious things that people want on their album cover or as their title track. They want things that are like that kind of grab you and go, ooh, I want to listen to that song. And I've heard it said over and over, like if you are a label head and you have stacks of papers and people's demos on your desk, like do you want to listen to a song that's called God is Great, or do you want to listen to a song that's called like Your Grace Changes Me? I don't know, something that's like a little different. I don't know. So
yeah, that makes sense though that you would think of it, and that actually has worked for you because it's become the title track on the album with that intention being on your mind as you're writing it. So I know that since melodies are stronger for you and that comes to your mind a lot, what do you think of when you're writing a melodic hook for a song?
okay, so definitely in a verse you want it to be lower so that you can hit them at the chorus, have a place to build from, and then Um, and then really that the chorus, I mean, the chorus is like the song. That's like the heart of the song.
Right.
If you start your verse out um, exciting and like surprising and higher melodically, you're really kind of boxing yourself in as far as whether someone's going to be able to hit an even higher note. Um, and the other thing I really want to touch on is verse chorus contrast. So this is actually an example from NSAI, the National
Oh, okay.
Songwriters Association International. I was a part of that for years, and I totally recommend it. They have offices all over the U.S., but so it goes, this is verse chorus contrast. This is my verse, and here's how it feels. It's smooth and from my heart. And I am repeating the same melody so you can sing with me. Now I'm at my chorus, make it move, take it anywhere, do something, do 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 do. Repeat it so I can sing, and then so it's just higher. It's different as far as whether it's jumpy or smooth, whether it's low or high, and you can do it the other way. This is my verse, and here's how it feels. Got a lot of notes, and it's got a lot of rhythm. And then the chorus needs to be big. It needs to be bold. It needs to be loud and have less words. So I just loved that.
That's a great example. Thank you for that.
Yeah, just to
I
get
agree. That's a great way to remember that.
Yeah, so the verse chorus contrast is huge. Lots of people aren't putting pre-choruses. If you need one, I would say lyrically, if you need a pre-chorus to make that idea from the verse flow nicely into the chorus, do it. If you don't need it, just take it out.
Yeah. Sometimes less is more. But there's no harm in writing out all your ideas and then editing them later and just see what makes it the clearest for the listener. So usually the hook will be in the chorus, right? Either a lyrical hook, a melodic hook, or both. I would think that you're kind of aiming for both, to have whatever line is the lyrical hook to also be the musical hook. Wouldn't you say that's kind of the goal most of the time?
Yeah, and a thing that's helped lots of people is the bookend idea, where you start your chorus with your title in that first line, and then you sing about it in those middle lines, and then you end it with that same exact phrasing that you did for your first.
So that helps people remember it.
Yeah, it helps people sing along. It helps drive it home that this is the one thing that this song is about. That's another thing I talk about a lot, is that every song has to have a North Star, we call it. Like, you might have 10 good ideas, and especially if you're just starting your songwriting journey, you might think these are all amazing ideas and I need to put them all in the song we're writing today. But you're going to write more songs. And this song, the best way to serve this song is to make this song about one thing. So like songs that I love, The House That Built Me, if you want to Google that song, it's about one thing. And the verse, every word in the verse points to the house that built me. Every word in the chorus is about the house that built me. You can say, especially if you're writing about God, you can say hundreds of things, thousands of things about the Lord. There's no end to the things that you could say about him, but you don't need to put them all in the same song. So if you're writing Great Is Thy Faithfulness, every word in that song is about God's faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. He's faithful like the seasons, all these things. And that is the best way to serve that song.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. I wanted to see what usually helps you overcome writer's block when you are staring at a blank page, or when it's hard to come up with fresh ideas, or you feel like there's just so much that you want to write that you can't even start. Like, what helps you overcome those hurdles and get past writer's block?
Okay, I have two things for this. Let's see. This is a quote from Ernest Newman, and he says, "The great composer does not set to work because he is inspired, but he becomes inspired because he is working. Beethoven, Wagner, Bach, and Mozart settled down day after day to the job at hand. They didn't waste time waiting for inspiration. And I really am challenged by that, because it is about the work, committing yourself to the work. If you're writing for yourself as a hobby, you can afford to just write when you have something to say. But if you are wanting to write for commercially, and that doesn't just mean for commercials, but like for a bigger audience, for radio, you're gonna need to treat it like a job and not a hobby. And that means that you're gonna work at it a little bit every day. Do one thing every day for your songwriting, whether it's send an email, write an idea, make a list of 10 words that you think might be hooky titles, something. And that way, if one day I just feel like I cannot write a song today, but I can take 10 minutes and write 10 lyric, like 10 possible, like, okay, resonate, detour, rave, like words. Then the next day I'm going to come at it and I'm going to have my list from the day before, and maybe one of those will strike me that day and I'll be able to write a little bit more to that idea. But if I didn't take the time to do that, then the next day I'm just going to be as stuck.
Yeah, I love that. So just get moving, do something, but
make it manageable.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not putting as much pressure on yourself, not saying I'm going to write a whole song today, but even just writing something down gets those words flowing. It gets them on paper. You can see it, and then it's not all stuck in your head. So that's really helpful.
The best thing that I do for writer's block, though, is to have a co-writer. And I could talk the entire interview about co-writing.
We could do a whole other interview on co-writing, I think, and we should sometime.
We should, because honestly, I've written songs since I was little, like 4, and most, like 90% of my songs are co-writes, because it's so valuable to have somebody else to bounce ideas off of. I would not come up with the things that I come up with without someone like Lydia in the room. When I say, we just wrote a song called Make Me the Moon. Yes. And like, that was an idea that I had for a long time. And like, I brought it up with other co-writers and they didn't get it. And they were like, oh no. And I brought it up with Lydia and immediately she got it. Like, she understood it. And
yes, and I had a similar idea but hadn't finished a song about it. And ironically, it was around the time of the solar eclipse, 2017. And so everyone was talking about the sun. And so we got to talking about all of the things that we thought of when we think of the moon, when we think of the sun. And then as a worship song, since we were writing a worship song, we wanted to have it be about us reflecting God. He is the sun and we are the moon reflecting him. So that just clicked for us, and we were able to write a song about it together when we were both on the same page. So I think that was really helpful, to just have that focus. And you just started with that one line of, this is the idea of the song, and then we wrote everything based on that. So I think that's a great exercise. And co-writing with someone else gives you an appointment and a certain time that you block off and say, we're going to write during this time.
That's the biggest thing.
And like you said, it becomes like a counseling session, because you can share your heart with each other and what you're thinking about, and you can come out of that room with a great song. And so I think you could even do that by yourself, of just blocking off time and making yourself focus and just have the opportunity to write. And then also, don't put so much pressure on yourself to get it all done. You might just write part of a song at that point, but that's great. You might come back to it later and finish it, or it might make you think of something else. So I think that's really helpful. We've got a few more minutes, so I wanted to ask you, what would you say well, this is a two-part. What would you say to encourage someone that's just starting writing songs and trying to figure things out? And how would you encourage someone who has been writing songs and is maybe getting discouraged in the process?
Okay. For the ones just starting, I want you to know that your songs are valuable, that if the Lord has placed it on your heart to write songs, that it's there for a reason, that your songs today will mean a lot to you your whole life because they were your baby songs, like the songs that you loved in the beginning, and you'll love them forever. But I also want to encourage you that you are going to get better the more you do it, and that it is a practice, a honing of a craft. You're going to live your life, and you're going to draw from the real things that you've lived. And I think looking back over my entire catalog, the ones that I love the most and mean the most are the ones that came out of the hardest times that I've lived, and written real songs, like just from the real places. I mean, I was reading in Psalm 57, which is one of the 8 Psalms that David wrote about Saul's persecution of him. He got 8 songs out of that persecution. This is like how a songwriter thinks. But he was writing it in a cave. He was in a cave hiding, and he's like, let me write a song.
Such a songwriter.
Yes. And so in reading this, I was thinking that we need to write what we know. In the beginning of my writing time, I wrote what I thought the industry wanted. I wrote the style and the words that I thought that I was hearing on the radio, but that actually wasn't what I knew. David writes only from his heart. He doesn't write just what he thinks people want to hear. He writes in a culturally relevant way, but since he writes from his heart, it's genuine, raw, real, meaningful, and useful. God, who is sovereign over all things, let David go through the hard times after his initial anointing so that he would have something to draw on to write about, so that we can seek God's glory more greatly. And so that's my encouragement for you, if you're new, is to not just try to write what the industry might want, but write what is real and true to you, because those are the songs that are going to rise to the top and really speak to people. And that's how we measure success. The ones who have been writing for a long time and might be tired, I would say, give yourself grace. Let yourself take a few weeks off, or whatever it is. Say, I'm going to take the month of October, and I'm just going to not put the pressure on myself. And I would also say that probably you, like many who have been writing for a long time, are struggling with comparison, because it's easy to measure things like, do I have a Grammy? Do I have a Dove Award? Do I have this many followers? Have I put out an album this year? Those things like that. Don't look to the right or the left. Look straight up, because the Lord has things just for you that only you can do.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that encouragement. I think we all need that from time to time, and so I hope that encourages someone who's listening today. I want to encourage everyone to pick one thing that we've talked about here today and just try it out. Put it into action, see how it works out for you, and figure out the process that works best for you. Julie, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing from your experience and your wisdom with songwriting. I can't wait to write more songs with you in the future, and can't wait to see you in person next time.
Yes, with our babies with us.
Yes, I love seeing our babies grow up together, and they are a great inspiration for songs as well. We wrote a whole lullaby CD together based on your experience with your little ones. So I love that, and I appreciate you being here today and sharing from your heart as well. Sure, so I will see you soon. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Thanks again.
Right.
Bye now.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and share it with a fellow writer. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you in the next episode.